Hey folks, welcome into the News 12 Now desk. Thanks for joining us here Tuesday, May the 23rd, right at 8 o'clock here in Augusta. Taking a quick peek outside, a little overcast. It doesn't look like it was raining as much today as it was yesterday morning. Still a little bit out there though, taking a look at this 7-day that Tim so nicely left for us. 75 the high today, and fairly cool compared to what we saw last week and what we'd expect for this time of year. Real quick, want to show you guys our YouTube channel, so you know how to subscribe to that, so you stay up to date on everything going on over there. So let's take a peek here. This is youtube.com. If you just search WRDW News 12, that'll take you right to the channel, and then you can just hit subscribe over here. And look at that, we are live right now. Once that ad finishes up, you'll see that we're streaming right now. We do a lot of that over on the YouTube channel, whether that be press conferences, these top headlines, any breaking news that we may have. We do a lot of streaming over there, and we also put up all of our stories, all of our forecasts, all of our interviews that we do here on the News 12 Now desk. So a whole lot of stuff going on over there on the YouTube channel. Go check it out. Just hit subscribe. It's free and it's easy to navigate and keep up to date with what's going on in the community. So be sure to check that out. But okay, today we are taking a look at our top headlines, some of the big stories around the CSRA, the two-state and beyond. We'll start here with gun violence taking another life here in Augusta. One woman is dead, and a man is in the hospital, and a child's in the hospital as well after a shooting yesterday evening on East Taylor Street in Augusta. Here's a look at the scene in a neighborhood on East Taylor Street. When deputies got there, the woman was already dead. Emergency crews took a man to the hospital in critical condition. A third victim, an 11-year-old, was also taken to the hospital. We're not sure on their condition. Investigators haven't said anything about a suspect in this triple shooting. A former Richmond County deputy is sentenced to life in prison. 37-year-old Jason Cunningham pled guilty to shooting and killing 37-year-old Nicole Harrington in 2020. Harrington was found in the parking deck of the Augusta Convention Center. The district attorney says Cunningham told investigators he was having an affair with the victim. The DA says after meeting in the parking deck, Cunningham became irate. He confessed to shooting her in the back of the head as she got into the elevator. Cunningham was later in a standoff with police before being taken into custody. His life sentence is for malice murder. He's also sentenced to 5 years for weapons possession crime. Tiny homes are starting to pop up all over the country as a solution to homelessness, but what about here in the CSRA? Leaders in Richmond County are considering it, and now leaders in Aiken are too. Hallie Turner takes a look at what it may look like.
Here's exactly what they're talking about. This is a replica of what one man hopes to turn into 25 tiny homes in Aiken County. And tonight, he was trying to convince city leaders in Aiken to join him.
George Clare isn't a builder, but he is a man with a vision.
It's got a fully functional bathroom, a kitchen, a sleeping area, and a sitting area.
He wants to give homeless people a second chance.
The real thing is only 4 times as wide and 4 times as long. Being able to show people how you would put bathroom facilities, kitchen facilities, sitting and sleeping facilities together in that small of a house, one that's affordable, and that's the key thing.
His plan is to start with building 25 homes and paying for them with the money he's raising.
We're not asking the government to fund this. We're going to build these with private support.
All he needs is for the city of Aiken to modify an ordinance to speed the process along.
There is a single line requirement in the zoning ordinance that says there shall be no dwelling built less than 450 square feet. And this is, as I mentioned earlier, about 175 square feet. In order for us to have a hope of building these and providing this service to the community, that has to change.
The tiny homes would come along with some rules, from job help to money management training. The plan is to get people back on their feet.
And this is the first time we've had a pretty solid plan to bring to City Council. Housing is a basic need, affordable housing.
She says it's a good idea, but there's still some work to do.
There's good things coming. There's some good things. There's good information that's been shared with me. There's some solutions. But we need to bring the people in the room and let's talk about those solutions and how we can establish a process.
Now, some of those homes that you just saw are some of the tiny homes that are in Savannah, and on top of modifying the zoning ordinance to allow for tiny homes, Claire is asking the city to help his nonprofit find some land for those homes as well.
Okay, thanks for that, Hallie. A new name joins the growing list of Republican candidates for president, and it's another familiar one for South Carolinians, Senator Tim Scott. After months of mulling it over, Scott says he is in, kicking off his campaign yesterday in North Charleston at his alma mater. State House reporter Mary Green was there.
Just over a month ago, Senator Tim Scott launched an exploratory committee, signaling he was ready to join this growing Republican field. On Monday, Scott made it official, kicking off his 2024 campaign here at his alma mater, Charleston Southern.
Let's go!
A packed gymnasium crowd fired up by Senator Tim Scott's big announcement Monday.
That I'm running for president of the United States of America!
Scott pitched himself as the leader who can bring the country back from what he characterized as a retreating nation under President Joe Biden.
Retreating from our heritage and our history, retreating from personal responsibility and hard work, retreating from strength and security, even retreating from religious liberty and the worship of God himself.
He leaned heavily into his own biography, raised by a single working mom and rising from a once failing student to U.S. Senator, as he painted an overall optimistic outlook on the country's potential.
I'm living proof that America is the land of opportunity and not a land of oppression.
His name is the latest on a growing list of Republicans vying for the nomination, including former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley and former President Donald Trump, with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis reportedly launching his bid this week as well. Scott didn't mention his conservative competition, but told the North Charleston crowd that he is, quote, the candidate the far left most fears.
When I cut your taxes, they called me a prop. When I refunded the police, they called me a token. When I pushed back on President Biden, they even called me the N-word. I disrupt their narrative. I threaten their control. The truth of my life disrupts their lives.
Mary Green bringing that to us from Charleston. In a statement ahead of Scott's announcement, DNC Chair Jamie Harrison says there's no question that special interests are celebrating as Tim Scott throws his hat into the 2024 race for the MAGA base. And following that announcement, Christian Benavidez reports on the GOP race from Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida.
I'm running for president of the United States of America!
South Carolina's Tim Scott, the only black Republican in the Senate, struck an optimistic tone as he kicked off his presidential campaign.
I'm living proof that America is the land of opportunity and not a land of oppression.
Scott, a conservative who grew up in poverty, is positioning himself as a positive alternative to today's divisive politics. Already in his corner, the Senate's number 2 Republican, South Dakota's John Thune.
Tim Scott is the real deal.
Also expected to join the race this week, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who has been touting himself as the only Republican who can win a general election.
I think in Florida we really showed what it takes to not just win big, and then deliver big.
But polls show former President Donald Trump remains the clear frontrunner for the Republican nomination among likely GOP primary voters. In a recent CBS News poll, those voters said they are looking for a candidate who digs into the culture wars and makes liberals angry. That same poll shows Scott with just 1% support compared to 58% for Trump and 22% for DeSantis. Echoing those polls, most House Republicans from Florida have already endorsed Trump over DeSantis. Christian Benavidez, CBS News, Palm Beach, Florida.
Other candidates officially running for the GOP nomination: former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson, and businessman Vivek Ramaswamy. And don't forget, former Vice President Mike Pence still expected to join the race as well. And so 2 political allies become rivals. Senator Tim Scott, former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, as she appointed Tim Scott for his senator spot. Our Nick Veland has a closer look at the politics in South Carolina.
Yeah, that's right, Richard. So far, South Carolina keeps popping up in national headlines early on in this election cycle. On top of Haley and Scott's Palmetto State ties, South Carolina is also the first state where Democrats will cast their ballot in the primary.
University of South Carolina professor Robert Olden Dick says that this race could take a turn this year.
It's going to be different than past elections. It's going to be more difficult to predict, and there's going to be the possibility of something very unusual happening given the current front-running candidates.
Andrew Siders, vice chair of the Aiken County Council and the Aiken Republican Party, sees the uniqueness of having two candidates from the state already.
It's kind of interesting that we have two declared candidates for president coming from our state. It's not very typical coming from a state, but it seems to be where we're at, and it's going to be a very interesting ride.
Being first in the Democratic Party shakes things up for South Carolina. Democrats in Aiken say that they believe Biden is the frontrunner for their party, but still see the importance of the Palmetto State voters getting the first chance to vote.
And I think it's great that South Carolina is now the first in the nation, because the South Carolina Democratic Party electorate is much more representative of the Democratic Party as a whole than Iowa or New Hampshire have ever been.
And we're still a long ways from 2024, and both parties agree that the biggest goal right now is getting people ready to hit the polls.
All right, thanks for that, Nick. Certainly, like you said, long way to go, so we'll have to see how things shake out here in the next 6 to 12, maybe 18 months. A Richmond County Sheriff's Lieutenant is officially announcing his campaign for Aiken County Sheriff. Lucas Grant looking to face off against current Aiken Public Safety Officer Marty Sawyer. Grant will make his candidacy official today, 6 o'clock at the Smith Hazel Recreation Center on Kershaw Street. It comes months after current Sheriff Michael Hunt announced his retirement and endorsed Sawyer in the race. Last week, we told you about millions of dollars are going to local projects to improve the quality of life in places impacted by the pandemic. This money will go towards the Boys and Girls Clubs and the Kroc Center. Our Craig Allison is at the Boys and Girls Club construction site with more.
Now, while it's visually reviving these outdoor spots here, it's really about bringing the community together and getting them involved. It's a soon-to-be multiplex for a number of activities, but really a way to bring the community together.
The sports is like the dessert, right? But once we get them in, they get to learn about our mentoring programs, our academic support programs, our healthy lifestyles programs.
This outdoor complex is years in the making, but they got a $2.2 million surprise from Governor Kemp's announcement last week. They applied for the grant back in October of last year and were expecting to hear back in January, putting in faith that things would eventually work out.
We started, I guess it was in March, but we were allowed to start if we thought we could get it done. So this will definitely give me more nights of sleep.
Operationally for us, it's definitely going to allow us to expand the amount of kids that we serve.
Now, soon to be fields for baseball, football, soccer, pickleball, putting green, and more by this fall. Just down the street, $2.2 million also from Kemp will go to putting more life into this field at the Kroc Center.
To establish recreational fields, walking track, and really enhance the view around the former Chafee Park, which is Ann Boardman Park.
More for a community that wants to move past these worn down scars.
It's just a good way to get the whole Harrisburg community involved.
And the Kroc Center is going to go back to their original 2010 plans to assess the field and start putting things in before they can formalize a timeline. In Augusta, Craig Allison on your side.
All right, thanks for that, Craig. More than $50,000 donated to the Georgia Cancer Center. Former Mayor Deke Copenhaver was diagnosed with cancer a little more than a month ago. While his prognosis is good, Copenhaver says he realized he should use his platform to raise money for others who may not be as fortunate. He organized a team to take part in the Unite to Fight fundraiser, and a $20,000 donation came from a single donor, T.R. Reddy.
The Georgia Cancer Center really helps provide access to people that might not be as fortunate as me.
They made it clear at the meeting of the Rotary, or they made it official at the meeting of the Rotary Club of Augusta, where Reddy is a member. 100% of the proceeds go to the Georgia Cancer Center. The demand for geneticists is on the rise. Those medical care providers specialize in diagnosis and treating genetic disorders. The Children's Hospital of Georgia provides complex care for all kids, and as Will Rio reports, they have a new member on the team focusing on these rare diseases.
Kristen Abbott calls little Alice a miracle child.
Alice was diagnosed with polar 3B related leukodystrophy.
She's one of 120 in the entire world who have had this disease. And she's the only one in the world with her specific mutation.
It makes it a little bit hard to kind of find resources, trying to know exactly what to expect.
That's where AU's geneticist program comes in to help families like the Abbotts.
Within 45 minutes, he did more than anyone has done within almost 3 years of her life.
Dr. Faisal Asumda joined CHOG at MCG after going years without this position.
We're definitely helping to save lives.
His job is to find out what diseases or health conditions unborn and newborn babies have.
You're seeing some of the most complex, rare conditions, on the earth, basically.
He works, teaches, and tests families about the warning signs later down the road.
I coordinate multiple specialties to basically manage that child or that baby over their entire lifespan.
The Abbotts see him every 6 to 12 months in hopes of helping Alice live a happy life.
We're not going to go down without a fight.
In Augusta, Will Rio on your side.
Alice's condition is extremely rare, as you heard Will say. There's no treatment for it. It is considered terminal. MCG and the Children's Hospital are doing what they can to search for answers. High-achieving Columbia County 5th and 8th graders getting recognition for their hard work this year. It's called the Johns Award. It goes to a 5th and 8th grade girl and boy at each elementary and middle school in Columbia County. The award is for those who display excellent citizenship and go above and beyond for others in the school. The award is named after Otis and Johnny Johns, whose school leaders say were pioneers of education, starting the first school in Grovetown.
It really builds them up for their future and shows them what is possible. I mean, they just have opportunity everywhere.
Whenever they called my name, I just started getting shaky and started getting cold, and goosebumps were coming. And I'm so glad that they have nominated me for the Johnny Award.
I was just amazed. I'm so proud of this little girl, and it was such an honor.
Teachers choose the winners. Honorees' names are put on a plaque that will hang on the wall for years to come. So congratulations to all of them. You may remember us telling you about comic books by local artists centered around Augusta's golden blocks and prominent historical figures. Now, those books are complete, and a 4th grade class at Montesano Elementary is among the first to try them out. The goal is to get students connected with local history. Teacher Rufus Moore says he noticed his students typically respond better to lessons with comics and graphic novels.
With the comics, again, it makes them feel like they're having fun while they're learning. It helps them to appreciate their community a whole lot more, and to know that great things don't just happen elsewhere, but right here in their area, right here amongst their people, that there's a lot of significant things, a lot of noteworthy things that happen.
AU and Lucy C. Laney Museum for Black History teamed up to create the comic series. The Golden Blocks were like the Black Wall Street for the African American community back in the early 20s during the peak of segregation. The drug known as tranq on the street is now being mixed with other drugs like marijuana and cocaine. That combination can be deadly. The Georgia Department of Public Health tracks these numbers. Between 2020 and 2022, xylazine-related deaths increased more than 1,100%. 183 Georgians died last year, and deaths increased faster among women. Abby Kasoris shares how the state is working to combat this problem.
Law enforcement says they're seeing the deadly drug xylazine being mixed into everything from marijuana to fentanyl, including here in Conyers, where a man accused of selling drugs laced with xylazine is now serving a 12-year federal prison sentence.
Drug dealers are making a cheaper way out of it. They don't care about the repercussions of what it could do to a seller.
Quantavius Garcia with the Conyers Police Department remembers responding to the call. One man dead, another severely injured after they claimed to have taken a substance that 36-year-old Mossy Fears sold them at a gas station.
The victim thought he was purchasing crack cocaine from Missy Fears, but it was later found to be xylazine included in that, which is very deadly.
Xylazine, a depressant which can slow your breathing, heart rate, and blood pressure to dangerous levels.
That amount of xylazine can sedate an elephant.
The state's Department of Public Health reports the drug is being mixed with other drugs, most commonly fentanyl. They reported 183 overdose deaths from xylazine in the last year here in Georgia.
Because most of the people I see are essentially one and done.
Gwinnett County Medical Examiner Carol Terry says she's seeing a spike of teenage deaths, as well as people in their late 40s and 50s who turn to street drugs for pain relief.
So it's like playing Russian roulette. Sometimes people think they're getting one thing and they're getting something else.
Test strips for xylazine just hit the market.
This also will save lives.
Pharmacist Ira Katz sells them for less than $4. He says these strips can test for the presence of xylazine, much like a chlorine strip can test for chlorine in your pool.
So we encourage people, if they're going to use anything, to try to find xylazine. We have it. Okay.
The Georgia Department of Public Health says it's not clear if the drugs are being diverted from vets' offices or if they're being produced illegally here in the state. In Conyers, I'm Abby Kasoris.
And this is not just a rising issue in Georgia. Overdose deaths by tranq have permeated throughout South Carolina as well. It popped up on law enforcement's radar after 8 overdoses in 1 week back in March. It's 3 weeks late, but peach season finally here. For one farmer, however, it is right on time. Sawyer Bussey has the story. I think it's Bucky, actually. Sawyer Bucky has the story of a family farm south of Atlanta that's going strong 5 generations later.
There is a place in Georgia where 5 generations of a family's history
my great-great-grandfather farmed the land.
Grow through the roots.
I think he would be proud that we're continuing to find a way to farm the land that they did.
And out of the branches of trees.
We have about a little over 20 acres of peach trees. Although strawberry season's still going strong, we would be rolling into peach season now. Obviously because of Mother Nature sending curveballs our way. That's changed a little bit this year.
The winter freeze knocked out some of the peach crop, so the fruit is coming in about 3 weeks late this year. The peaches might be behind, but the blackberries and blueberries are right on time.
The good news is we still have a fair number of peaches on the later varieties of trees. As we get into June, we'll start picking a lot more peaches.
It's not really the point though. For Jake, this is just another reminder of a life lesson he watched his grandfather and father live out.
Take things as they come, whether it be on this farm or in life, and have a positive outlook on it is something that, it's our choice, right?
While this place has grown and changed over the years, some things aren't for changing. It's still family run. These are...
And they're Georgia peach trees.
Absolutely. There's no other peach tree in the world.
This is a place where leaving your phone at home is encouraged.
With all the negativity in the world, we strive to create a wholesome atmosphere.
Where a person's connection to the land is taught and valued.
It was planting a crop, nurturing that crop, taking what the good Lord gives us, whether it be rain or weather, and watching that crop come to fruition. I mean, I think that's the joy of farming.
Just rolling with the punches, trying to create a great atmosphere out there. Love that message he spread. Okay, moving to Atlanta now. At least 4 people are in the hospital with minor injuries after something fell from a construction crane, damaging a building under construction. This happened yesterday afternoon on Spring Street in Midtown Atlanta. A witness in the building next door says they felt their building shake and heard a boom when it happened.
It sounded like a really large truck zooming by, followed by a very large crash, loud enough to shake the whole building. So I wasn't sure what had happened, but heard ambulances pretty shortly thereafter, and heard rumors going around that something happened with the crane over the building.
A spokesperson from the fire department says the crane is still standing, but a component fell from the top of it onto part of the building. Family members, attorneys, and supporters of an inmate who died in the Fulton County Jail say LaShawn Thompson's death is one of the most deplorable in-custody deaths in American history. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump led a news conference Monday where he revealed an independent autopsy report. It says Thompson died from dehydration, severe neglect, and untreated schizophrenia. LaShawn's brother also spoke about his death, calling for justice and accountability.
It's enough that the bed bugs and lice sat there and ate my brother to death.
but the neglect hurts me the most. That in 2023, that we'll see people leave people, let them torture, let them rot in the cell. That hurts me the most.
His family is also calling on the Fulton County Board of Commissioners to take responsibility to act quickly to fix these problems at the jail, and they're urging the DA to bring criminal charges. A mother accused of abandoning her hours-old newborn in a wooded area is denied bond. Authorities say 40-year-old Karima Jawani left her newborn daughter tied in a plastic bag in Forsyth County in Georgia in 2019. The baby was found alive and nicknamed Baby India. We learned Saturday that Jawani is married, stay-at-home mother of 3. Her lawyer requested bond, saying this was a mental health issue, not a criminal one, but bond was denied. She's facing several charges, including attempted murder. Baby India is now 4 years old, and while her identity is secret for her own safety, she is described as happy and healthy. A major drug bust at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. Federal officers confiscated nearly $1 million worth of drugs. Here's a look at that haul. It's nearly 100 pounds of ketamine and a shipment from Sweden. They found it hidden in a trash compactor and more than 700 metal thermoses. The drugs have a street value of almost $1 million.
You can try to find any way to stop them from coming to the country and might save 1, 2, 10, 20 lives. You know, it makes you feel like you're doing a good job.
Federal authorities say ketamine is used as a club drug and in sexual assaults. It's known on the streets as Special K. It's used to sedate animals and humans. There's a federal investigation into who sent those drugs. Across the border into South Carolina now, members of the Senate will return to the State House today. They have a chance to decide whether to accept the changes the House made to the 6-week abortion ban bill. Last week, the House passed the bill after more than 23 hours of debate in special session. The Senate could accept the changes and pass it to the governor, or senators could try to work out a compromise with the House. I had the wrong lower third up there. Now it's the right one. Lawyers for the woman charged in connection to a crash that killed a newlywed bride on Folly Beach have filed a motion for bond. Jamie Komorowski is facing charges of DUI causing bodily injury or death. A toxicology report shows her blood alcohol level was 3 times the legal limit that night. In the motion for bond, her lawyer said she's not a flight risk or a danger to the community. I know one family that would disagree with that. Okay, a cow in South Carolina has tested positive for mad cow disease. Clemson University says the cow recently tested positive after it got to a beef processing plant. Officials say it began showing symptoms of the disease after it got to the facility, and it was quickly euthanized. The disease is not contagious and it is rare. It's the 7th confirmed case in the country. The cause of a massive and deadly fire in Charlotte was an accident. Fire investigators say Thursday's blaze was caused by a trailer that was spraying insulation material as part of the construction of a new apartment building. 2 construction workers were killed, 15 others were rescued. Economic well-being is at the top of mind for Americans across the country. The pressure to raise the debt ceiling has never been higher. Yesterday, with the U.S. quickly running out of headroom to pay its bills and the consequences of a default severe, a high-stakes negotiation session between President Biden and House Speaker McCarthy. Kelly O'Donnell is at the White House.
Tonight, facing a dire default deadline, the president and the House Speaker go one-on-one.
I think we may be able to get where we have to go. We both know we have a significant responsibility.
We both agree that we need to change the trajectory, that our debt is too large.
Coming together without other congressional leaders late today after financial markets closed. Negotiators also met on Capitol Hill. House Republicans want to reduce overall spending and say Democrats are not willing to cut enough.
I think we can get a deal tonight, we get a deal tomorrow, but you've got to get something done this week to be able to pass it and move it to the Senate.
Adding to the pressure, a fresh assessment from the Treasury Secretary. The country's ability to borrow is highly likely to run out as early as June 1st, triggering default and what economists say would cause job losses, stock market declines, and recession. That might even include a delay in federal financial benefits owed to Gold Star families. Like Teresa Jones, a Navy widow with 2 sons. Her husband, a chopper pilot, was killed in 2013.
It would absolutely be an added burden in trying to figure out, okay, where is the mortgage, where are the funds for that going to come? Where are the grocery bills coming from?
And the timing, so close to Memorial Day, when emotions are already raw.
I'm frustrated for my family, for my Gold Star, friends, their families. I don't understand why this has to be so difficult.
The stress compounding her loss. Kelly O'Donnell, NBC News, the White House.
Certainly something that a lot of Americans can sympathize with right now, hoping that a deal does get done in the next couple days. The NAACP has issued a travel advisory to Florida for people of color in response to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' policies. The organization called the state hostile for Black Americans. DeSantis is taking on what he calls woke ideologies by banning certain race-based teachings. Georgia's NAACP president says he supports that warning.
This is the first steps towards making sure we protect our history, make sure we protect our diversity and inclusion, make sure we protect the rights, civil rights we fought so hard for. And people in government need to understand that racist rhetoric will provide for strong consequences.
He says the advisory shows hate is not good for business and calls this a strong message for Governor DeSantis and governors around the country. An update on the brutal murder of 4 University of Idaho students. Monday was the first time the suspect was seen in court since his first appearance back in January. And Brian Koberger chose to stay silent. Lilia Luciano explains why the judge was forced to enter a not guilty plea for the PhD student.
All rise.
Wearing an orange jumpsuit, 28-year-old Brian Koberger returned to the Latah County Courthouse in Moscow, Idaho, briefly smiling at his attorney before staring straight ahead as the judge read the charges against him. 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of felony burglary.
Do you understand the charge in count 2, murder in the first degree? Yes. Do you understand the maximum penalty? Yes.
When asked to enter a plea, his attorney declined, saying Koberger was standing silent. The judge entered not guilty pleas on the defendant's behalf. The suspect is accused of fatally stabbing 4 University of Idaho students, Madison Mogan, Kaylee Gonsalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin, as they slept in an off-campus house last November. Weeks after an intensive search, Koberger was arrested at his parents' home in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania in December. He had been a PhD student studying criminology at nearby Washington State University. In the courtroom today, family members of the victims cried.
What is it like to see him walk in?
There's no real words for it. As a dad, you want to just do it yourself, take care of it, but you can't. The whole world deserves the process.
Kaylee Gonsalves' father, Steve, says it's hard to be patient as the proceedings drag on and transparency lags.
What is your biggest question, and what do you want to see from this?
When do we stop with hiding all these things? Let's get the process going. There's nothing more painful to the family than just to sit around doing nothing. That's not justice.
The trial is set for October 2nd, and the defense expects it to take at least a month. State prosecutors have 60 days to seek the death penalty. Police and prosecutors still have not discussed possible motives. From Fort Myers, Florida, there are signs of hope. What hurricane survivors say about discovering strength within themselves and each other.
It's been 8 months since Hurricane Ian barreled ashore, but for some in Fort Myers Beach, it looks and feels like yesterday.
It was honestly terrifying. A lot of people still without power. I met quite a few that don't have water.
The Beach Baptist Church filling what even today is still an urgent need.
We're feeding about 2,800 mouths per month.
There are signs of progress, rebuilding, businesses slowly returning. Even weekend beachgoers are back. Recovery is measured in small steps, volunteers cleaning up, posting street signs.
They call it the beach vibe coming back.
But the personal toll is hard to measure. Some left after the storm. Others chose to stay. How are you, man? It's great to see you. How you been? I first met fisherman and Coast Guard veteran Matthew Simonson the day after Hurricane Ian hit.
It's like a tsunami.
Telling me about his harrowing story of survival, clinging to a boat as it was hurled onto land atop the storm surge.
We were actually eye level. We were taking out some of these top wires.
We found him still living here, doing marine salvage. What made you stick it out?
There's so much work to be done here still.
That sense of purpose and hope extends even to the very youngest here.
We were stronger than we knew.
The children of Fort Myers Beach Elementary School were forced to relocate to another school when theirs was destroyed. How did you do during the storm?
I feel like I did pretty good.
Their story shared in a song that deeply resonates on this beach and across this battered but remarkably strong community.
No, we can take whatever comes our way.
What gives you that strength?
Because after the storm, I felt like I lost everything, but I realized I still had my friends and family.
As we made it through the storm, like a ship that keeps on sailing, the pouring rain of a hurricane.
The community is still trying to rebuild nearly a year later now, and it's one of those things that's kind of out of sight, out of mind for us, here hours away, but for those people still living it every day and to still have that positive spirit, it really gives you hope moving forward. Okay, let's move along here. It is a health issue for couples. The World Health Organization says 1 in 6 people struggles with infertility. As Carly Barnett shows us, one Georgia doctor is taking a futuristic approach involving artificial intelligence to help treat this long-standing problem.
It just helps to give me another option.
Charis Chambers is in the process of planning her fall wedding, but she's also planning ahead for their future family by freezing her eggs through IVF or in vitro fertilization.
You want to go to that practice that is thinking outside of the box. I think AI is just one of those ways that we can do that.
So she sought out Dr. Corrine Frew, medical director at Oma Fertility in Buckhead.
We now employ artificial intelligence with robotics in the lab in order to give us improved embryo quality.
She says they're using innovation to combat infertility.
If you can select the best sperm to then inject into each mature egg, that equals higher fertilization rates.
To do that, they use this robot.
It marks and tracks each sperm as it is moving throughout the sample. Your eyes do not have to do the work so that you're chasing down the sperm. Nope, the work's already automated and done for you.
Dr. Frew says it does not replace an embryologist, but it's a tool to help them do their job.
We think that this is the next thing that needs to happen, and the more efficiencies we can build into the system, the better. If we can get patients pregnant in fewer cycles, that is the goal.
There's nothing that's guaranteed when it comes to fertility, and I think that's important to be aware of, but at the very least, it's like, I know I did what I could.
This new technology could help patients save big. Just one round of treatment runs an average of $20,000. A blocked railroad crossing is holding families in one Georgia town hostage, and it's not a new problem in Screven County. Max DeKnight explains these residents recently reached a breaking point when a train was parked in the heart of their town for an entire day.
On this particular afternoon, the town of Rocky Ford is even quieter than usual. Eerily, frustratingly quiet. Flashing lights and parked cars tell an all too familiar story for people around here. This Norfolk Southern train split the town of Rocky Ford in half for nearly 24 hours earlier this month, forcing residents to wait it out. Locals say it's an extreme case of a regular occurrence.
I'm on 148 Main Street, right next to this train track that stays there 2 to 3 hours at a time.
Beulah Budget runs a cafe and gas station in town. She says the train blockage has been a problem for years, but it's gotten worse recently. She says it's crushing business and more.
My business is suffering. My church suffer on Sunday mornings when it be there and people coming from the, got to cross the track.
But that's not all.
The school bus come through. They have to sit and wait for hours for the kids.
We watched as this school bus pulled up, dropped off kids, and waited. Resident Aiden Peters says people in town feel powerless.
Obviously, the train track split Rocky Ford into two, so it's kind of frustrating when you live one house down and you can't even get to your own house.
As you can see here, the company did put up this sign with a number to call if a train is blocking a crossing for more than 15 minutes. but Peters says it's useless.
They say the same thing over again. We're working on it. We're working on it. We're working on it. That's all we get.
These residents tell us it's time for a change. They say if these trains are going to derail their way of life, they'd at least like to know why and how long their wait will be this time.
You know, a little bit more communication would always be key to help out the citizens of Rocky Ford and what to expect.
Max contacted Norfolk Southern for comment. They said in part, quote, "The conditions affecting this particular crossing have largely been improving. I want to be clear though, Norfolk Southern never wants to inconvenience a member of community with a stopped train." Went on to say, "Our teams work hard to minimize the time trains have to spend in the siding while others pass. And we also have instructions for trains to be separated at this crossing when they will be there for an extended period of time whenever possible." They went on to say the issue temporarily worsened over the last few weeks because of some changing rules. Rocky Ford's mayor, Ken Mock, gave us this statement. He says in part, quote, "A train blockage of the railroad crossing, which is located in the center of Rocky Ford, results in citizens, school buses, emergency vehicles, and any daily commuters being cut off with zero access to the opposite side of town. Our citizens and travelers have been patient over the years to allow 15 to 30 minutes in delays. Any delays beyond this time frame has led to kids missing school, loss of revenue within the town, along with daily commuters unable to meet job time frame requirements. We look forward to working with Norfolk Southern to resolve this increasing issue." Well, there's an extra charge nearly everywhere these days, from your credit cards to your checking account. In this Watching Your Wallet, consumer investigator Rachel DePompa looks at how to avoid these hidden fees.
Hidden fees are unexpected charges you get hit with when buying goods or services. Nathan Grant, a senior finance industry analyst with MoneyTips.com, says one of the most common and most expensive is overdraft fees from bank accounts. He says if you don't check your account regularly, these type of fees can add up quickly. He says there are a few ways to protect your account.
But some banks have low balance alerts that you can get notified when it's getting close. And then there's overdraft protection options at certain banks that are either going to, when you do overdraft, they'll pull that money from either a savings account that you've tied it to or a line of credit.
Another common fee consumers face is ATM related. Withdrawing money from an ATM and getting hit with not only a fee from the machine you are using, but also a fee from your own bank for using an out-of-network machine. He says one way to avoid that is to use a mobile pay app, or better yet, a mobile wallet.
But when you pay with a mobile wallet, even if it's your debit card tied to it, it creates what's called a token. It's tokenization. And that number is just a randomly generated number for that sale or that transaction.
Grant says you're actually getting added security in addition to the benefit of not having to worry about paying an ATM fee for withdrawing cash. One more common fee, late fees. Grant says to avoid them, set up automatic payments for, at the very least, the minimum payment, so you are never late. With this, Watching Your Wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.
Okay, some good tips there. Thanks for that, Rachel. Millions of people are fascinated with this ChatGPT. The artificial intelligence tool and website can create just about anything, but the popularity has led to some shady companies releasing their own ChatGPT apps. Many of those apps have been kicked out of the App Store for bad practices. As our consumer tech reporter Jamie Tucker explains, the wait is finally over for an official ChatGPT app.
Up until now, ChatGPT apps are known to be spammy, spreading malware that can steal a lot of information right off of your phone. But now, after months of waiting, there is an official ChatGPT app that's safe to use.
Here's the official icon. The name is OpenAI ChatGPT. It's only available in the Apple App Store for iPhones and iPads right now, but an Android version is coming and will be available in the Google Play Store soon. The official ChatGPT app is free. Why use an app instead of visiting the ChatGPT website in a browser? It's much faster, and if you use the platform often, the app makes it convenient to make requests and, for example, copy and paste the results in a messaging app. The app also syncs your history with your desktop ChatGPT account. If you're unfamiliar with ChatGPT, it's a platform where you can ask for anything and get instant results. For example, ask ChatGPT to write a paper, a blog post, song, movie script, and in seconds,
artificial intelligence will create what you ask for. Real estate agents use it to help create listings. Teachers use it for lesson plans, and it'll even plan a vacation. You don't want to download, install, and use any other ChatGPT app. I'm Jamie Tucker, and the official ChatGPT app is the app of the day.
That's insane, man. It's only a matter of time until ChatGPT wins a Grammy for Best New Country Song. The official ChatGPT app was released just a few days ago. It's already #1 in Apple's App Store. I haven't checked it out yet, but I think I'll probably give it into the ChatGPT craze at some point. Okay, let's do some good news stories here. A set of girls defying the odds. They graduated 1st and 4th in their class in high school this year. The twins have already collected nearly $5 million in potential funding for college, but it wasn't easy. They faced challenges in their high school careers. Shay O'Connor explains how they overcame the odds.
Yeah, the teens say they are excited to see their hard work pay off. They had a message for other New Orleans teens.
I would say don't let your surroundings make you, because you are able to achieve the same things that someone else is able to achieve.
Maximize all opportunities. If it's offered to you, do it.
Words of advice from Kayla and Kyla Fry. The twins graduated at the very top of their 2023 class from Frederick A. Douglass High School with 4.69 and 4.6 GPAs, off by a very tiny margin. Kayla becoming valedictorian.
Just be the best you and love what you do.
But the girls say it was a friendly competition on who would take the spot.
I had my sights set on it from the moment I stepped into the building. I always knew that I wanted to be the top of my class. It was hard, but in the end, I still got it done.
Getting it done despite obstacles and challenges.
I would say the biggest challenge for me during the pandemic was getting used to virtual learning.
The entire Douglass High class of 2023 prevailed. In total, the seniors received more than $20 million in scholarships.
One of the key points in it is that our work ethic is unparalleled. So the main goal here is always to achieve at the highest levels.
The teens say they want other teens to know that you can make the headlines too for something completely positive.
Well, all you hear a lot about is violence and teens getting killed. So I think when you hear that they're actually doing good and that, not all teenagers, experience the same things, it gives people like a different look in that, oh, well, I can do that too.
Very smart set of twins right there. Congratulations to them. Best of luck in the future. One is heading to LSU in the fall, and the other is off to Yale. So 2 very good schools. One staying a little closer to home, the other one going a little bit farther away. So congrats to them and good luck. We've been telling you about an increase in homelessness and lack of affordable housing in our area, leaving people out on the streets with little to nothing. Well, 4 women in Indiana are taking something that's usually tossed in the trash and making it into something that can provide shelter and warmth. Rafael Sanchez explains.
It's time-consuming, but rewarding.
First ones we made crochet look like rugs. I mean, they weren't as thick though. These are thicker than
3 And once I got started, now I don't want to quit.
Kathy Newkirk retired 5 years ago and turned to this to challenge her creativity.
But when you see the finished product, you realize it was well worth it.
Ruth Comel is a retired school teacher. She's using a loom that normally weaves together threads to make big blankets. But there's nothing traditional about this.
No, no way.
For the past 10 years, she and others have collected used grocery bags.
Faith is helping other people to me.
Once the plastic bags are sliced and resized, the strands of plastic are tied together. And what was once in a carousel for you to load your groceries? How many mats do you think you've made?
200. Probably 200. Probably.
All that newly cut plastic ends up on Ruth's loom. And the results? Mats for the homeless.
We don't get to see, like you say, don't get to see them, but one group did take a picture, and this woman just had hers wrapped like this and holding on to it, and I thought.
Some people may knit their plastic bags. This one here took 17 hours to make. You see a plastic bag and you see what?
I see a mat. I see somebody who can use this, somebody who's needy and needs a place to stay a little bit warmer, a little bit softer, and I have a way to help them. I'll take any plastic bag, any used plastic bag. Some people have said they've bought plastic bags or the store has given them plastic bags that are new, and that's not the purpose. The purpose is to reuse because we want to recycle.
There are more to make. The demand is high. And for them, helping others will always be in the bag.
Incredible acts of kindness there, and really taking the one man's trash is another man's treasure, saying to a new level. So good for them for making that happen. Well, it is Stroke Awareness Month. The Get Ahead of Stroke campaign is raising awareness so people can recognize the symptoms and get treatment right away. Michael George has the story of a young woman who survived thanks to the quick thinking of her family.
It's been a year and a half since Leticia Vega had a stroke. She didn't know what was happening and called her mother.
I felt like a pop above my eyebrow on the right side. My left leg started shaking uncontrollably. I wasn't able to express what I wanted to tell her. And my mom is like, she's having a stroke. Get her to the hospital right away.
Leticia, a single mother, was just 41 years old.
I still cannot coordinate my left hand with my right hand.
About 800,000 people suffer a stroke in the United States each year. Leticia's type is less common, caused by a dissection in one of the arteries in her brain.
The artery becomes very narrow here. You can see the area now looks wider, and that's because this stent was placed there and is now holding that area open.
Dr. Christopher Kellner with the Mount Sinai Health System treated Leticia and says everyone should know the warning signs. Be fast. Balance loss, eyesight changes, facial drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty, and time to call 911.
Every 1 minute that passes, 2 million brain cells die. And so there really is a extreme time pressure to get to treatment.
I'm recovering. It's just mentally, I'm not doing well. Depression, anxiety, fear.
Doctors also found evidence Leticia suffered another stroke previously. She wants others to know the symptoms.
Just go to the hospital. Even if you feel like it's a waste of time, your life is not a waste of time.
She started working out again and takes a low-dose aspirin daily to reduce her chances of having another stroke. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Major risk factors for stroke include high blood pressure, diabetes, heart and blood vessel diseases, high cholesterol, and smoking. Okay, let's talk about some local sports here. Augusta Christian baseball taking on Hammond, looking for their first state title in 16 years. Alyssa Lyons has the highlights from Lexington.
Waiting, they say, makes the heart grow fonder. Ask Augusta Christian baseball team. They know because they've been waiting 16 years for a state championship. And their final showdown against Hammond, they were done letting time pass them by. Jeb Bradford gets the start on the mound. Lions up first. It didn't take long for them to get on the board and add on 2 more before it's over. Hawks say checkmate and meet them at 3 even in the bottom. Bradford holds him at 3 for the next 4 innings. Something's got to give, and Wilson Donnelly says it's gonna be me. Sign, seal, deliver this one to the post office in the 5th to break even. They tack on 3 more in the 6th and close out the next one. No shipping fee here. They're headed back on I-20 as the reigning 4A state champs.
Special, that's the only way to describe them. They started, individuals and weightlifting in September, and then they never stopped working.
Nothing but joy for these seniors, man. Great season. I couldn't ask for it to be another way. It was awesome.
It's only Austin Robinson's 2nd year as head coach, and he's left his mark on the program already. With 105 pitches in 6 innings, Bradford finishes with 10 strikeouts in his final game with the Lions.
They battled back. I knew they had my back. They pretty much made the game a 0-0 again, and we just had to go to work. And we battled back.
The Lions finished their season at 19-5. In Lexington, Alyssa Lyons on your side.
Congratulations to them joining Harlem as state champions in baseball for us. A lot of state champions across the area this year in all sorts of sports. So congrats to everybody. Give It Forward is back. This time they're visiting Kingdom Creations Academy in Martinez. It's a private school with 14 kids created by a former public middle school teacher about 2.5 years ago. Our Will Volk stopped by when Candy Smith surprised him.
Good morning, boys and girls.
Candy Smith is rolling her wagon into Kingdom Creations Academy.
I'm so excited. I've been following her on Facebook and I see the wonderful job she does with the young boys.
This surprise is for Deshaun Wright, the school's teacher, principal, and founder. Give It Forward is giving $500 and a wagon full of stuff.
I did not see it coming, but I'm a very spiritual person, so I've been feeling like something big is going to happen, and I've just been praying that it's going to be something good.
Wright is a former public middle school teacher. A few years ago, she followed her dream and started her own school.
I thought if there's something a little different that we can do to reach those children that are kind of falling between the gaps, then let's try to do something a little different.
She says this gift will help them continue to grow.
Sometimes I am doing stuff out of my own pocket to fund and make sure that we have everything we need. So yes, every little bit helps, and we are extremely grateful.
$500, supplies, and gifts for all the kids. Candy says it feels good seeing what this means to them.
I love y'all. Oh, it means a lot. It means a lot. You saw their faces. And you never know what Give It Forward will show up next, so get ready.
In Martinez, Will Volt, on your side.
She does so much good for the community. Love when she appears on our screens here, and Candy Smith always says, you never know where it's going to pop up next, so it could be you. You can find out about these stories and much more up on the website, WRDW.com. Also, be sure to download the streaming app, WRDW. You can do that on your Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV, whatever your favorite streaming device may be. Free to download. Also, the YouTube channel is free to subscribe to. It's new. We put everything up on there. We stream up there, breaking news, press conferences, I-Team deep dives, interviews with coaches, players, whoever we talk to that day. We got all that going on the YouTube channel. So go ahead and subscribe to that. That's free as well. So why not? Stay up to date with the community. A little fun way to do that. Okay, about 3-ish minutes now till the morning mix. So if you want to pop on over to the TV side of things, or if you're watching on the streaming app, you can stay right here, and Morning Mix will be on here in just a minute. That's going to do it for me this morning. I'll be back a little bit later on in the morning, actually. So it's not it for me this morning, but it's it for me right now. I'll be back later on this morning with some more News 12 Now. So we'll see you back here then.